Well, it is that time again, everybody. Hope you are doing well. My name is BirdDog John, and I am back in action.
In those scenarios, it's good to neuralize the cameras. You guys know that best.
Very straightforward. Plug it in, go to the web UI, link the source, walk away. Like super simple. I keep looking over at the chat, and I keep seeing you are full of it. Tasty, spicy meat snacks. Covered in flavor. I mean, you can't go wrong. So what's going on? We've got a handful of folks here in the chat, and I really appreciate that. What's up, mate? Hey, Warren, how are you? Appreciate it. Hey, Robbie, how's it going, man? You're just talking about you. What's going on, Tom? Ahoy. How is it going? What's going on, Go Web? Good to see you again. Thanks for hanging out with us again today. Appreciate that. Feel like I'm in this video more than anyone but John. It's true, NetApp. You are, I'm going to cut this up and put this in the next intro. What's going on, everybody? It is a beautiful Thursday morning. Wowzers. It's a beautiful Thursday morning here at the BirdDog support office, and I am so honored that you have decided to join us today. Pretty exciting day here at BirdDog. It's always fun to have conversations about products that have been announced, and so that is the plan. Today's title is about our chats with Adobe and how we plan to work a little more closely with them. And we're going to have a little bit later on the show, we're going to have Jake and Josh on to help us talk through that. And so we'll give respective updates when that all happens. But as normal, I want to, first of all, verify that I can be seen and can be heard. So let's double check. Oh, that sounds pretty good. If I say so myself, thank you, RE20. Appreciate your excellence in sound capture. I'm also setting up the studio to do a little bit of recording coming up, and so we're going to play around with that tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to that. But I've got a large boom mic hanging over my head, so the NTG2 has made a return, not for today's show. But the NTG2 has made a return back to the show, and we'll be doing some in-studio recording tomorrow. So that's pretty exciting. Always good times to have a little project to work on, something a little to break up the week, and that is indeed what will happen here. So it's ominously hanging over. It's actually, I've got a system where it's like a pole that does a really long extended, so I can put it way off in the corner and then extend it all the way here, and it has a counterbalance on it. And so it'll be fine. If it were to fall, it would fall slowly. So we'll see how that works. But yeah, hopefully it won't fall on me during this show. The other piece is I was in a meeting with my friend Phil from Europe, Phil Lane, and we were having a good productive chat, and all of a sudden my computer shut off randomly. And the Mac rebooted on its own. I logged back in. I got back in the meeting. I apologized for the interruption, but I don't know why it quit. Just randomly gave out. So that's the computer that's running StreamYard. So if I disappear randomly and the show restarts or something like that, or I just freeze and then leave, everybody stay tuned. I'll try and come back in on the original show if that error happens again. But you've been warned. I don't know what the deal is. Probably need to turn my computer on and back off again, or off and then back on again, because it's been a while, and there's probably a good chance that there are updates, things that are lurking about in the background that have caused it to have a fatal error. Now it did restart and it didn't do an update, so I don't know what the story is there, but we continue. So looking through. Okay, first I want to double check. I see the chat is alive, so that's great. Let me respond here. Let me make sure that, let's get this playlist going. Now, something that was requested last week was Bugzeek wanted me to test his camera and said, you're welcome to test it on your show on Thursday. And you know what? I'm going to take him up on that offer because my team has had his camera, his P100, here in the office. And I'd be happy to go in and make sure that everything is functional as evidence and proof that we're good to ship it back to you. So I am going to actually do that first thing this morning before before we go through the Adobe stuff, and so that's going to happen around 10:15, 10:20, somewhere in there. The guys that will be helping me with that are coming out of meetings, and life is busy. So, what is going on, Angus, my friend from Canada? Not hopefully you're having a good morning over there. It has been a very busy morning here this morning, but has been good nonetheless. What's going on, Jeremy, my Ember friend? We are here together with our Ember mugs of coffee, keeping them warm as we plan to talk through this morning's stuff. So that's pretty exciting. And welcome back to the show. Always appreciate having you around. The best BirdDog T-shirt ever. Oh, the Venn diagram. That it is a legend. This is a 2019 shirt. This is the first shirt I ever received from BirdDog. This was an Eamon creation, and it does go down as one of the best T-shirts ever made. So good times. I'll drink some coffee to that. Always cool. Nothing going on. Nothing is going on. The weather has turned warm, and the street cats are roaming the neighborhood once again. It's true. The weather has turned warm for today. It's going to go back to cold tomorrow. But I can share with you what I'm seeing outside in Auburn Hills. So this is Auburn Hills on one of the PF-120s that used to be in this studio. Now it's sitting in my office. A beautiful sunny day in Auburn Hills, Michigan here today. A little chilly, currently 47 degrees, but going up to 60, which is no joke in April. So happy that we're getting closer towards the May flowers than the April showers. But tomorrow we're definitely going to experience some of those April showers. And so here we go. More on the weather next week, I guess. If we run dry on things to talk about NDI, we can chat about the weather. That's always fun. I am going to jump over to the Facebook group real quick so that I can address some folks here properly, because Facebook doesn't bring in names. Good morning from Mexico. What is going on? This is our friend David Garcia. So how are you, David? It's nice to have you over here on the show. Always a pleasure to hear where people are checking in from, and sometimes you think that you're only being watched by people in your own country, but that is not true. Last show, we had folks checking in from all over the place, and that was so fun to hear not only all the different cities in the States and in Canada, but we had folks from Mexico, from Europe, from various points around the world, and Australia as well, somebody over in the Victoria region. So always cool to have people on board. So welcome to the show, and thank you for checking in from Mexico. I really appreciate that. I've always wanted to find like a link or a QR code that I could throw up that you guys could say like what country you're checking in from, and just like pick a place on the map, and then I could get kind of a heat map as to where people are watching. That would be really cool. If anybody knows of a place or a resource, like a website that you could generate something like that, I would love to know more. So send over your suggestions. I want to create a heat map of people watching the show. I think that would be incredibly cool to have as a resource, and so that you guys could see where's everybody checking in from. What's going on, Marcus? Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by today. Seen and heard on YouTube. Seen and heard? Seen and heard. What did I say? What was seen and heard on YouTube? Oh, I'm being seen and heard on YouTube. Oh, fantastic. Yes, audio check. Thank you. Thank you. My brain. it's a little behind. Fritz, what's going on, Fritz? Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Good morning from sunny Chicago. It's sunny over here in Auburn Hills. We're not too far from each other. We're a few hours away. That's a pleasure to hear that things are bright and sunny over in Chicago. I know Chicago needs as much good news as it can have these days, so glad to hear that the sun is shining over there. No color on your back wall. Sad vibes. So there is technically color on my back wall, but it's not, the intensity is not as bright as it normally has been. Do I even have my phone? I do have my phone. Okay, so let's see if we can turn it up for Jeremy's no sadness on this show. All right, we try and appease, especially the regulars on this show. Try to make it fun and exciting. Now it is a black background, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge for color, but maybe something on my shoulders, eh? Maybe we could do something like that. So what is the apps called? I forget what the apps are called for this thing, and I can usually they're here in the Hmm. These are those apps these are those lights that you can control via your phone. Oh, here we go. BR light. Why is that? Why is that a thing, right? So this light is currently blue. So let's turn up the intensity on that one, maybe. So, yeah. Wait, is that the green or the blue? What? Wait, that's the green one, but it says that it's on blue. You can see the wall light up, eh? Whoa, look at that. Check that out. That's some serious intense light. So it was at like 70%. Let's kill the playlist and go back to the main light. Okay, so that's a fair bit more green on my head. That's running at like 90%. So there's one element. Let's dial it back to maybe like 80. Let's go 85 on there. And then on the blue light is actually a different app. Because why have it all in one place when you could have two apps? Who knows? This one, side blue, is also at 85%. Does this actually turn it off? Yeah, okay. So here, if we crank it up, whoa, yeah. Look at that blue. Boom. The triangle, right? They always say to have a triangle of light on one of your cheeks. So there's the dynamic difference. Not too sure if this is what it is that you're after, but it's true. There is no color on my back wall anymore. On this wall, now there certainly is on this wall. There's plenty going on, and at the top of you can see the green shine on the top of my monitor. So there's a little bit going on. It's little subtleties, right? There you go. Just for you, Jeremy. Just for you. In the summer of 2020, I produced a virtual AGM for a group who are concerned about microphone contamination. I hung my NTG2 overhead, the C-stand, and a long pole. That's precisely what it is that I'm up to right now. Balu will sing and dance for us. Balu will? Oh, that would be exciting. I don't think he's agreed to that, though. I'm pretty sure he hasn't. I've now produced the AGM for that group 3 more times, most recently using 100% NDI. Boom. How far away from your subject do you find the NTG2 needs to be? Because I'm wiring mine up right now for some recording that we're going to do tomorrow, and I get varying results because we're going to do probably one camera during introductions, but then it's going to be an overhead cam for some tutorial stuff. So I don't want it to obstruct the overhead cam, but I also want to be able to produce clear audio without too much reverberation from the room, so not having to crank it up too hot, I did have an odd issue during setup. I had to power cycle the A2 P200. It was glitching and showing lines on the NDI image. That's interesting. Ember, yeesh. The year I met your fearless leaders. There it is, 2019. What a year. I just finished my coffee. Boo. Hey, did you buy another F-150? I did. That F-150 is the one sitting out on that in that shot that we saw earlier. So there you go. Good times. Great oldies there at the... Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Hold on. What is going on here right now? Over on Facebook, I'm a new and sleep-deprived dad watching from Melbourne. Do you know who this is? The one and only Eamon Drew. Recent father, and now hanging around in the shadows on YouTube. I mean, Eamon, take it away, man. I'm outclassed here, so feel free to jump on and take over the conversation. It's good to see you, man. It's good to hear from you. Congratulations, officially. Our first, actually, me being able to talk to you since all this went down. Congratulations, man. Super excited for you. And yes, loving the wait. Eamon has joined. Well, Eamon is in the chat, evidently. Loving the Ember Cup. Thank you. Ember makes an appearance on here usually at least once a week. And we need to I'll pitch that in a minute. But anyway, sorry, I blew past a lot of comments because I saw Eamon posted something, and Yeah, crazy talk. So Angus, yes, to answer your question, yes, I did buy another F-150. That is out in the drive that you was in that image. Good times. Now we have Nathan over on Facebook, and he says, "Hey, I'm trying to control my camera with RS422. What dip switches do I need to turn on for the P4K?" All right, so those dip switches are going to be outlined in the manual. But I will, if you legitimately want me to connect a P4K to 422, that will take me some setup time, and I can do that for you on the next show. I'd be happy to offer that to you. But yes, the 422 should, the dips and dials, that outline should be done in the manuals. We have an excellent, he's not a new hire anymore, but he's relatively new to the company in terms of me being around for a while. We hired a guy, his name's Steve, and he is doing all of our technical manuals, all of our writing, keeping it all up to date. Anytime we're like, hey, we found a typo, hey, we found this needs to be changed, he's on it. And yeah, super, super cool guy. I got to meet him back in August when I was in Melbourne. Real straightforward, just interested in getting it right, and I love it. I love his ambition and technical writing and all that sort of good stuff. So Steve is handling a lot of that now, and we've gone through those manuals, each of them, on a technical level, and so they should be accurate. But if you're following them to the letter and you're getting differing results, please report that back to me, because I will test it myself and let you know what I find. And if you're testing it and it happens after the show that you have some sort of outcome that's inconsistent with what the manual's saying, send us a ticket over at help@birddog.tv, which is our main ticketing system. Say, hey, I was on the show. I mentioned that I was having trouble with RS422 on the P4K. This is just to confirm that I am still having that issue. These guys, I was talking to John about it. They can get it over to me. I have a guy that actually does a lot of testing now. That's one of the agents. The guy that goes by the handle Frink Thinks. He does a lot of testing as well, but I'm happy to jump in and test it so we can sort that out and make that happen. But if you're having issues with that, please let me know. I don't have a keyboard in here right this second, so I can't do it for you live this second. But if you're having issues, I'll verify it here in the office and get back to you either on Tuesday, or if you open a ticket, we can talk directly through the ticket. What's going on, Dark Acid? Welcome back. Always good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate that. And Pandorica, good morning. How are you? Hopefully you are well down there in Texas. Hey, Rezi could do that. If you use our players versus Facebook and YouTube. Yes, Rezi could do that. You're right. I need to have another chat with you, Jeremy, about Rezi, just because there are working with an installation that's using Rezi, and I just, like the last time we chatted about it, the integration piece, but the feedback piece as well. Getting that streamlined back into the system that they're using, it would be really helpful to chat a little bit about that. But we can do that at a later date, and it doesn't have to be right here. Good morning from California. What's going on, Ken? How are you? Welcome back. Always good to see you, too. NetHab, at least you have hair. Well, I have a hair light, but I hide it. I hide my actual hair under the hat. So Anna says, hello from Oxford, UK. Weather is typically like weather rain. Yes, that is the norm over in the UK. Hopefully you guys can get some sunshine over there, but thank you for checking in regardless. Hopefully the day will pass. Hopefully the show will help you pass the rest of your day. You guys are rounding out the rest of the day right now. So Eamon is on this show, or was, or is. Maybe he's fallen asleep. He is very sleep deprived, by the way. But for the record, in Melbourne right now, it's 1:20 a.m. So that poor guy, he's hopefully he's propped the phone up and he's using the low tones of BirdDog John to lull him back to sleep. Hopefully that is what is happening. Maybe he thought, I could fall asleep to this guy. I can see some on the black curtain. Side light looks okay. We were talking about hair lights and color on the lights. Thanks. Anything for you, Jeremy. What's going on, Shane? Hey, thanks for the stellar support. Our customers are always happy with the BirdDog cameras. NAB was a blast. And I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to say hello at NAB. I wasn't there, but we had an excellent sales team that was there, was handling questions, and I'm glad that you enjoyed the show. I heard that it was stellar. All the sales guys that I talked to, they were like, "Oh yeah, it was great. It's a great place to consolidate all of the visiting things, right? So everybody flies to one location. You have like these 4 intensive days chatting and shaking hands and listening to people's hopes and dreams and all that sort of good stuff, and just getting excited about the product line and the new offerings that are coming out. And it's a great place to meet a lot of people really fast. And so I'm glad that you had a good show, Shane. That's great to hear. Generally speaking, as close as you can manage, but the shotgun mic pattern is such a challenge for a reverberant space. Amen to that, man. That's the pushback, is when I do training stuff, I like to eliminate this one to kind of open it up, especially because we're doing overhead stuff, and so this microphone has to go away. But yeah, you want it to get really close so that you don't have to power that NTG2 too hot, but the pattern then gets quite narrow, as is the nature of shotgun, right? So, hey, very nice. Looks like a good machine. I hope that it serves you well for many years. Oh, yes. I hope the truck serves me well for many years, too. There are some bells and whistles. Hi, Eamon. Angus says, there are some bells and whistles on the truck that need to be addressed. Some bells that are not ringing and some whistles that are not making a sound. But there are some things that we need to address on there. But outside of that, so far, I've really enjoyed it. So now, okay, so sidetrack here. This is a 2015, which is the year that Ford switched their F-150s to an aluminum body. And here in Michigan, that's a really big deal, because we pour salt on like it's going out of style on our roads when the winter hits and causes our vehicles to rust notoriously. So this should combat some of the frame rusting issues that my 2012 had. But we will see. Time will tell. And I got a pretty good deal on it, so I'm okay with some of the personality that the truck has. But I've already fixed a couple of things that they were no big deal. Some of the other things might be a little more costly, but again, I got a good deal, so what can you say? Okay, back to the show. Eamon, what's happening? Not a whole lot. Hopefully you're doing well, man. Hopefully you're surviving. Man, those first few months of with a new baby, that is no joke. That is a different style of living. Some days it's just one breath to the next. So steady on, my friend, steady on. Hey, it's great to see you here. That's Angus talking to Eamon, by the way. It is great to see you here, Eamon. Send him a StreamYard link. There's a good chance that the reason he's awake is because he's holding a baby. And so, thanks, man. I would jump on, but I'm pretty out of it. Yeah, he's probably not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as one would expect in Melbourne. That is not probably what's happening. So I also have an Ember, and I love it. Boom! We're getting all sorts of traction with this Ember thing. So maybe we can turn some heads with the Ember organization. This show survives on coffee, to be fully honest. So that is reality around here. So are you reacting to YouTube or just to Facebook? I am reacting to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn should bring them in, and Twitch and Twitter. All of those platforms send me information. So wherever you are, you should be able to message me here on the show. However, the Facebook link doesn't bring across the names into StreamYard directly, so I have to just go and reference it. So I leave that open and I watch the chat over there. When I see somebody that posts in Facebook, just jump over to Facebook real quick and read the name, and then I know who it is that's talking. So it's one little caveat that we have to do with StreamYard, but that's not the end of the world. And they're promising us that they're working on fixing that. So here's hoping. Here's hoping. Eamon's happy about something. Is a 4K quad bought in 2021 able to receive RUDP? It's not showing up in the menu with the latest firmware. So the 4K family has not been updated to NDI5 yet. That is the next major push for firmwares with the converter line. And so actually, quite frankly, with the BirdDog line, is the converters coming up to NDI5. There are a lot of pieces that need to happen hand in hand with that actually working. So not with it working, but with lots of things have to basically launch at the same time. And the first domino to fall was Fleet Manager. So Fleet Manager, to get things to NDI5, Fleet Manager is going to have to be a part of the conversation, and that's all good. Fleet Manager is in basically beta mode right now. Well, it's basically in alpha mode because we have it. The beta customers don't have it yet, but they're ironing out basically the final items of that, and so that's super exciting. And if you missed my hype show about Fleet Manager on Tuesday, you'll understand. Go back and watch it after this show. You'll understand why I'm so stinking excited about Fleet Manager because there's just so much great potential, and it's so telling about how BirdDog, the company, listens to the customer's concerns and their pain points. We heard a lot of feedback about the firmware update process, especially because we produce a lot of firmware updates. We get that. That's part of, we're trying to enable things, we're trying to streamline things, we're trying to get things fixed, and not on a 6-month recurring, like, here's the patch. But when we get a bug, we're trying to chase it. Well, there are several things that have to happen in order to make that manageable in the long term, especially for large installations. Fleet Manager is the answer for that. And so Support is super excited about Fleet Manager. But as a customer, you should also be pretty excited because we're centralizing, not to be confused with Central, but we're putting in the same place all of the, and I won't say Unify either because that has other, so many companies. We're putting it all in one place so that it's easier for you to manage and that it's all at your fingertips. And seriously, bravo to the engineers for this, because this is such a great answer to prayer in so many ways that we're going to be able to make our product line way more accessible, way more manageable. It's such a cool idea. So Fleet Manager gets my thumbs up for sure. The RUDP piece is NDI 5. And so to finish up this question, RUDP will come with an NDI 5 update. But again, the dominoes have to fall to get all of that working correctly. So no, in NDI 4 LTS, this is 4.5 NDI, by the way, that wasn't an option. But NDI 5 RUDP will be an option. So thank you for the question, Marcus. Appreciate that. It needs to be said in these times that Steve is a real life guy and he's not ChatGPT. Steve Russell is the guy that does our technical manuals, and he is full on. That's what he spends his time doing. And I've been told. And no, he does. And he produces a lot of our technical manuals. The stuff that, like, it's so amazing to have everything launching at the same time, which is just the bandwidth we didn't have. We hired Steve, and now all of the documentation stuff rolls out with new firmwares, with new products, with all that stuff. And so it's a critical piece. It bridges the gap between like customer relations and marketing and support and sales and all of that. He plays this critical piece right in the middle of that. And so Steve is a great guy. I love that guy. Hey, I tried to watch the video and looked at the manual, but it's not working. Hey, so this is the RS422 thing. Okay, so I will write this down and test this after the show for you, because that is one of the things. Shoot us an email at help@birddog.tv and just say, hey, John said on his show that he was going to test RS422 on the P4K, and let me know what he finds out. And I will check that out for you. Please submit a ticket to, drumroll please, help@birddog.tv, and we will get that taken. We will take a look at that for you in the next, give me 24 hours. Hopefully today, but whatever. Who let Eamon in here? What's going on, Josh? I'm still here. Well done. Hey, consider this a new feature. This is from Ken. Freewheel the PTZ motors so that the camera can be manually controlled with a short handle attached to the backside. Okay. We can put that on the list of feature requests that have been made. We'll always take those in. I can't promise you anything, but I'll always put them up there on the board and say, hey, this was requested. I have what's going on, Tim? Hey, I have a BirdDog Play monitor NDI output from Live Stream Studio 6. I'm not familiar with that one. Drops a few frames, lags, but it's usable. Portable production, ASUS router. Could Netgear 4250 improve this experience? Now, for the record, I don't know about the performance standards of the ASUS router. I don't, I'm not going to be able to compare this apples to apples. However, I've had great results with the 4250 line, and I'm actually running one right now that's running a Multiviewer Pro. I'm sorry, a Multiviewer out of vMix. That is the way that I track all my cameras and all my shots and everything for this show. And so that's being played on a monitor live here in the studio. It was recommended the other day that I do a studio tour again. Maybe I should make that like a reoccurring segment on my show, just to show you guys what it is that I'm up to and how I'm producing all of this. It's a one-man band type of situation. But I'm using a Play as the multi-viewer output from vMix over NDI to the play onto the screen so that I can see what's going on, and that seems to be working really well. So that goes through a 4250, a single 4250, a single hop, so it goes out of vMix into that switch and then out of that switch into here. But that switch is a part of the greater network that's happening inside my office. So there you go. Man, you guys are chatty in the chat today, and we have some stuff that we do need to work through. It's already 11:30, so I am going to continue chatting about this. However, I want to officially bring on my guests today because back by popular demand, not kidding, is my buddy Jake. And Jake,
hey everybody, hey
what
John,
is going on, man?
Thanks for
Jake
having me
has
back.
been at NAB, my pleasure. He's been at NAB and he's been showcasing a bunch of stuff, and I think that this is the cool place to bring him on. But to add to the conversation, we're going to bring along a guy who's a BirdDog enthusiast, actually helped work the booth at BirdDog kind of as a friend of ours that knows the product line really well. His name is Josh Bernstein, so I'm going to bring him on. What's going on, Josh?
Hey, good to be here, John. This is awesome.
Welcome aboard. Thanks. This is finally, I get to use the function of StreamYard that I've been dying to use and actually talk to you guys. So
that's
really
awesome.
Cool. Yeah,
I don't have a cool
so
background like you guys do, though. Like,
no, this works.
Yours is great, Josh. What are you talking about?
What do you have, like quadcopters or something in the back?
Yeah,
what
these are. Oh, I'm over here. Which way? It's
other
over
side.
here.
There you go.
These are drones. Yeah, I was very big into drone racing for a long period of time. So that's the drone racing wall.
Nice. That's
a bunch
so
of
cool.
FPV stuff, right?
Yeah, it's all FPV. It's video. It's the only time I've ever produced real video was flying a drone. It's wild.
Awesome. What sort of reception did you get on those little antennas on those drone cameras?
I mean, those are small. You can see some of the ones that are over here. Farther up, some of those drones will do like 5, 10, 15 kilometers on a 1.2 gigahertz link. Yeah, they'll go way far. But most of them, like there's a little one, let's see right here. That's for flying like real estate tours in-house. And then there's a tinier one that you can't see next to it that we did the most expensive race course in the world. We flew through a bunch of exotic cars. There's all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's awesome.
That is.
We got to
really
figure
cool.
out how to get the video into vMix. I think that, or StreamYard for that matter. We'll have to try
right.
that one day when Jake
bring
comes
it
up.
in as a a guest.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I've been able to do it with some other apps I've used, but yeah, I don't know if I could stick a BirdDog camera on it yet.
Let's make an NDI and figure out what we can do with it.
Let's figure it out. Maybe the battery operated one.
Let's do it.
That is hilarious. Love it. Well, I didn't know you were into drone racing. That's pretty. Now,
Yeah,
and on the other side, you have an original painting. Is this
no, this is let's see. The video is mirrored, so I'm not used to being on the camera.
Yeah, understood.
This is a jazz painting I got from an art show in San Francisco many years ago, and
nice.
It hangs in my office for a long time. There's a really funny story I'll have to tell you over beers around it.
Yeah,
but
for
that's
sure.
a cool one.
So the question, I guess, is, and I'm guys in the chat, keep it going. You're still keeping it going. That's great. However, so we'll get back to the chat in just a second. But Josh, why don't you kind of just catch us up to speed? You're a friend of BirdDog for a long time. I know you're friends with Jake. And you and I have had some chats recently.
Sure.
You've been in the chat though for like a couple years,
for a long
right?
time.
Like,
yeah, that's
you've been
right.
hanging out in the chat. So just give us a general idea as to how where you fit in here. Just give me a couple minutes.
Yeah, I think I've just been a fan of the product. I my day job is working at high scale tech companies. So you can look me up on LinkedIn if you're actually curious. I won't mention their names on air, but I build large scale infrastructure. And during the pandemic, I was asked to improve the streaming stuff or the streaming situation at our local synagogue here, and found BirdDog through a friend of mine who worked at Fox Sports at the time. They were sending fly kits or remote kits to talent during the pandemic, and they included a BirdDog camera. And I was like, okay, I should check this out. And then found out about NDI, learned all about it. And I think like the biggest drawback about NDI was that you had to build a reliable network. Like you had to know a thing about networking, which didn't phase me at all. So I built. We put in 3 P400s. Yeah, we put in 3 P400s in our temple here, and then since then, that was I think 2021 or so. we've now done. I get asked to do all this again. So we've done 3 new synagogues in the Bay Area. I've done the JCC in Los Gatos, and now also we have 2 theaters in the Bay Area as well. And so it's just volunteer work. I just have fun with it. So that's why I'm here. But on the networking side, I think I have it covered. On the production side, you can see you and Jake have a much more professional feel to the production.
Well, we've just had more time to fiddle about with we're not quite as busy as you are, I don't
yeah,
think.
maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the case.
Your set works well. We appreciate you jumping on here. Let me see here. I just got a message actually from Eamon. Just give me a quick second here because he sent me something over on Teams. He says that he just sent me this photo. He said that
we have to talk about this if it's the same one he sent me.
Our A300 was hit by debris from a SpaceX landing.
Yeah,
it was
from a launch. Launch.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, did you not see this on social media? So the National Science Foundation, I guess, used an A300 to capture the Starship X launch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there was the side story after the ship exploded was that there's this huge amount of debris field in it, like damaged cars and it damaged buildings. I mean, it was crazy. And this guy posted a picture of an A300 that was hit with something, and the camera just sort of it's an amazing picture. Yeah, the whole half end of the camera fell off.
Oh my word, that is bizarre.
I can't believe you haven't seen this.
No, I'm just discovering this now. Okay, hang on.
They went live from the back of the truck after they pulled out all of the cameras and everything. So
yeah,
really
there was a piece
great
of concrete that went through the truck. It was pretty cool.
Look at this. What on earth, man?
Oh no, that's not even the worst one. Go.
Yeah, he's got another one here. Hang on.
They found the piece. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I go back,
off.
Is there? Come on, Windows.
Yeah, the Starship exploded over the ocean. Yeah, that's right.
Holy smokes!
Yep.
So I'm just reading like the stuff that he's sending this over here, but yeah,
you got to look online. I forget the gentleman's name that did it.
It's from a NASA space flight. It hit the camera from a mile away.
Yeah,
it destroyed their stuff too. Hopefully, going to send it to us as an office souvenir, dude. I'll put that stuff in the trophy case for crying out loud. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. That is so stinking cool. The camera kept really working after the first few hits, and then they were going to send me the last few captured frames. That's so stinking hilarious. So let's talk about warranty coverage here real quick. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's Jared Quinn produced this. And there's a YouTube link that the National Science Foundation captured. And he put this whole thing up there. And around 2 hours into the video, they like tore the van that was like destroyed after the launch.
Yeah. Well, that's what Eamon wrote. He said destroyed their car too, but I was like, car?
Yeah.
What do you know? Literally, it destroyed the vehicle that it was.
Yeah, I don't have a good way to send you anything, unfortunately. I'll send it to Jake, and maybe he can pass it through to you over chat or something like that. Yeah, I can put it in private chat here.
Put it behind there, and we'll grab it there. Okay, let me catch up with chat, and then Jake, I'm totally going to turn it over to you to talk Adobe. But like, I'm just having so much fun having people on the show to talk to. So this is all good. I appreciate you guys being
cameras
here.
And space debris, and hey, it's a cover extended warranty.
Yeah, Eamon said they had it on a soccer mom minivan as an OB truck. Oh, that's great. So Phil says, I can confirm it is pouring rain in the UK. What's going on, Phil? Always a pleasure to have you around, man. Who needs a white noise generator when we have your sultry tones? Yeah, I was thinking that
he's trying to go to sleep. Yeah,
he is really trying to get to sleep. So,
or maybe he's got the headphones on the baby, and he's trying to put the baby to sleep.
Ooh, there's an idea. Hey, Eamon, if you haven't thought of that idea, there you go, dude. Shane, great to see you here. Jeremy is excited that Shane is on the show, or he's in the chat. Marcus says, okay, I got a P200 camera. Transit preferred method is RUDP now, but is it not forcible? So rumor says NDI can jump ports on protocols during transmission. Who wants to take this one?
I'll take this one. So this is an interesting problem, right? One of the specs that NDI says is that you can select the protocol transmission. Mm-hmm. So you can select RUDP, you can select TCP, you can select UDP, but in the specification, it doesn't guarantee that that protocol is being used because it negotiates a protocol. So for example, if you want to send RUDP to an NDI4 device. NDI4 devices don't support that. And so it'll negotiate fallback either to UDP or TCP. So even though that you're specifying the transmission protocol, it's not guaranteed, which is kind of a bummer. What's nice about a lot of the BirdDog hardware, though, is that it'll tell you in the dashboard or give you some insight into how it's actually transmitting versus what you set it. Right. And there's some really fun games you can play with your network on Netgear and Ubiquiti hardware. You can actually get data out to show you the packets that are flowing and get some signal for what's actually happening.
Yeah. It's in an effort. It's honestly in an effort to not be annoying, but to be flexible in terms of, yes, we can. That was the whole backwards compatibility conversation, right?
It's kind of like, what do you do as an engineer here? Do you like fall back to backwards compatibility for the case of like it being opaque? Or do you throw an error? Like, I don't know. I feel like I would like to throw an error and just say, hey, I can't negotiate this, so I'm falling back. Something, right? There has to be something there, but maybe we'll see it in NDI 6. Who knows?
Yeah. Yep. So you want to talk about the Discord channel real quick?
Yeah. So I think many of you watch us on Facebook. I found BirdDog originally also through Facebook, and I was a customer because the channel is incredible, right? The Facebook group is like, there's 8,500 people there. And one of the neat things that I just saw posted during the show was that we now have an unofficial BirdDog Discord channel for like real-time chat, which I think is also super cool. So I will figure out a way to get that promoted.
That'd be great.
I don't know, can you stream video to Discord? Like, is that a thing?
You can.
Yeah. So well, go ahead, Jake. You may know more than me.
Yeah, I know a couple people that are using screen sharing and their webcam inputs and whatnot, and putting their NDI feeds right through there into different chat and video channels. So yeah, Discord's an awesome place for that. I know I've been on the Discord community for it's been live for about over a year now, I think.
Has it?
A little more. It's been there more than a year,
because
a
little quiet, and I wish it was more active. So
well, and honestly, it's just that I haven't pushed it at all, and it's funny because the guy who set it up is the same guy that does the DNS redirect for this show for BirdDogJohn.tv. So when it's Beep Chirp, by the way, I need to say his handle as much as I can because he does us all these favors, and so he's been pushing that, and he set that up, and is generally the admin. Now he made me an admin long ago, but I need to probably make another Discord channel because that account that I have is locked up. So I need to get back on there and push it. But does Discord can it do an RTMP stream?
I don't believe you can send one directly to it, no.
Because if there was a way, then I can generate those directly out of StreamYard and link those in to like websites and whatever. So anyways, I'll check that out. I'll see, in all my free time, I'll figure out what it is that we're going here. Hey, sorry, I didn't realize you're on a bit of a delay. Sorry for being rude. No, Anna, you are not rude. It's actually a great reminder that yes, you can message us on any of those platforms, and I should be able to see it. And when the chat really gets going, then it's hard to catch up. So, yeah, we'll do our best to try and catch up. But also, we do want to cover the Adobe stuff today with Eamon here. This is like having a celebrity on the show. So it's almost as exciting.
On us, or he's watching.
Almost, yeah. Well, there's that too. That crossed my mind. But it's almost as exciting as having Tom Sinclair on the show. But you can see where I put those. No, Eamon said he'd love to come on, but he's in no condition to be on camera. So
that's his usual condition. I mean, every time I've seen him anyway.
Look, it's 1:30 in the morning over there, and he's a new dad. We're gonna give him a pass on this one,
and we'll cut him a break
this time.
Hey, you need a lav for these tutorials. I actually have a lav, and the issue is that the tutorial that I'm going to be recording tomorrow, or attempting to, we're going to play around with it in the morning, is actually a tandem tutorial with one of my technicians here in the office, and so. A lav is fine, but I need 2 lavs, or I just need my overhead mic to sound good. So we'll see how that goes up. But okay, let's. I don't have the StreamYard link. Yes, I did not send it to you,
purpose.
because I figured it was not appropriate at this point. So okay, let's pause, chat, keep it going in there. That's totally fine. But Jake, I wanna turn this over to you. I need you to explain the base level of what the announcement is, and then we can get into any level of tutorial, and Josh and I will bounce stuff off as it comes up. So I will give you the reins.
So it was really exciting about announcing this over at NAB, and we had a bunch of people coming over to the cloud demo booth to see this wonderful Premiere workflow by streaming our NDI and Premiere output streams right through BirdDog Cloud, right onto all of our devices. So now instantaneously, we can get our Premiere program feed and timeline and back and forth audio return and webcams all within Premiere through our extension panel, as well as directly onto iPads, iOS devices, including Apple TVs, and then the whole Android suite as well. So Android TV, Android devices, and tablets. So now it's really easy for your producer or your agency or anyone that needs to view that live stream Premiere output anywhere in the world by either just sending a webcam link or then tying the BirdDog Cloud iOS account into BirdDog Cloud. So it's really, really, really exciting to get that live stream directly out of Premiere anywhere in the world. So I'm going to jump over to our Premiere window. Let me know when this pops up for you guys.
We got it. Go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, we got it.
So over here, we have a new extension. So if we pop on over to our extensions, we have a BirdDog Cloud Connect extension, right? So from here, this pulls up this BirdDog Cloud Connect window on my left-hand side. From over here, we go ahead and we can see all of our NDI sources on my network. So I have my P100s, I have my P200s. Adobe is creating a Premiere output stream, which is the program output. And then we're also using NDI screen capture to capture the timeline view, right? So those are selected over here, right? We can have a drop down and we'll select the Premiere stream, and then we can select the graphics card that's generated with that screen capture feed, right? If we jump over to our configuration page, we can choose the picture-in-picture format. So do we want to have this in a 75-25 split for the end user, or do we want to do a 50-50, which is usually what I prefer? You have the option to select the bit rate. So that's going to be a bit rate limiter. So in my setting right now, it's going to use all the way up to 16 megabits per second. However, if the end user doesn't have that, it'll scale down accordingly. Next option, we have a various stream formats to select from. So we can use this encoding as H.264 with an NVENC engine. We could also use VP8 and VP9 and QuickSync to do this encoding to ship that video across. A couple more options we have are stream modes down below. So we can choose whether this needs to be a one-to-one connection. So your editor to your producer are the only people that can jump into that stream. Or do we want to broadcast this connection and send it to as many reviewers and over-the-shoulder viewers as possible? Lastly, we jump into the stream name, and we can call this whatever the project is. So in my scenario, I have this as BirdDog Premiere Cloud Demo. So once all those things are set, we just press go live. So now this is the exciting thing. I'm going to jump over to my iPad right now. So pop on over. So this is my BirdDog Cloud Connect app on iOS. We can check this out over here, right?
Yep.
These are all my groups. So these are my editor viewing rooms or my producer viewing rooms or for this post-production workflow. So if we jump into my BirdDog Jake group down on this left side, we can see that I have a BirdDog Premiere Cloud Demo. Oh, let's see if does that stop going through? Yes, it did.
Yeah, I don't have an update.
Give me 1 second. That's screen capture for...
do it live, Jake. Do it live.
Right.
Hey, look, this isn't manufactured around here.
Yeah, right.
We walk you through it exactly whatever our computers decide to do. You're gonna see it.
We do.
I think what was cool for me while you're figuring it out is if you think about like what we saw at NAB, there was a whole bunch of, I think, hoopla over virtual set production. But the big news really was around like hybrid production. How do you produce shows remotely? Like it was my first NAB, right? So I didn't really know what to expect, but we saw virtual production, and then the next big hype was hybrid. And so with BirdDog Cloud for a long time now, we've been able to send arbitrary NDI streams all over and pull them down and produce them locally. But I think the next evolution of that is to have BirdDog Cloud integrated into products. So this plugin for Adobe is sort of the call it the vision of that recognized, right? You don't have to put on Cloud Connect. You don't have to have the NDI tools installed. You just bring this plugin to Adobe and you can leverage this whole workflow. And when I saw the demo, that's what shocked me. I thought that was one of the neatest things. And the folks at Adobe came by the booth and they were blown away. They've been really, really great to work with. So I also think it's really cool, Jake, you figured out how to get your iPad on stream. Again, I'm not I'm not super, I don't know.
I think next time I'm going to send that into HDMI output instead of using the NDI screen capture. Because that's what crashed before. Yeah.
All right. You're back up. Go ahead.
I'm back up. So let's jump into here. And now as soon as I press play, and let's play this Premiere stream. Oh, that's so fun. We love it when Premiere then crashes too.
Yeah. I was using, for my iPad stuff, I was doing some video capture for like tutorial stuff that I was using. I was actually using a Flex In to do it.
Right.
Because I was able to actually force it. And it's strange because when you do screen capture on an iPad, it crops out some stuff. Like it crops out the menus and stuff and just shows the content. And I don't hate it, but I don't like it. Like it's not bad, but it's not like my preferred. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. But I was doing some stuff where I was doing some tutorials of like live notes and like drawing diagrams. Okay, like this is the general network flow and whatever. Like a classroom setting where I had like a whiteboard. And the Flex, first of all, performed just fine. The issue is that the iPad decided what to send and what not to send. And so there were certain things that I was selecting that weren't showing on the source, on the NDI source. And so I was just kind of like, I wish they could kind of see it all. Because I can turn off notifications, I can do all that. Sure. The iPad tries to do something a little smarter. But anyways, there's a workflow option, folks. If you're looking to bring in an iPad on a teacher's desk or a lectern or something like that, yeah, you can use a Flex to do that.
All right, Jake.
Flex into the workflow.
Yeah.
So what do we got going on over here? So here's this 50-50 picture-in-picture from my timeline and from the program output. So my editor and my edit window can choose what the end user is receiving. So do we want to push the full program output of the stream, or do we want to go back to do the full timeline output so that the producer or the agency can give their input on what they want changed, right?
Yep.
So we can also go back to that mix source, as well as use our local NDI webcams as our editor webcams. So let's say that this is my editor, right? Nice. So now I can have that conversation with them without joining Teams, without joining Zoom, being able to have a direct conversation from editor to producer, wherever they are in the world.
Yeah.
And then it goes even further. So, all these tablets and devices have webcams, right? So we have this option of enabling the webcam, right? So I'll bring that over here. And then if I jump back over into Premiere, I'll go to my return vision source and I'll just jump and select the iPad. So now right inside Premiere, I have a direct conversation with my editor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my webcam comes back, iPhone, Android, whatever the device is. That way I can have this conversation.
Man, that's crazy.
It's pretty amazing, I think, that you can have this kind of capability built into cloud, right? And this idea that that struck me about BirdDog was I didn't need to buy like expensive baseband equipment, and this concept of just running NDI and shipping video over the network, I think unlocks these workflows that wouldn't be possible otherwise. So this Adobe thing is really pretty cool. And we got to see Jake's studio, which is also impressive. So John, you'll do behind the scenes. Maybe we'll have to do like a dueling studio thing. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
This is all you get with me.
I just rearranged everything. So
we really need to like have guys that are on cameras on behalf of BirdDog, their studio tours, because Jake has one. I'm sure CJ is going to have to set something up when he gets over across the pond.
Yep.
I know I have one. There are a few moving elements here, and there are a couple of places. I know that there is like a pseudo studio over in Melbourne, but when I was over there in August, they were still putting it together. It wasn't like fully finished. I was really anxious. Actually, I plugged in a few of their lights without them knowing, just to see what options
if they figured out.
They're very expensive lights. I was like, can I put one of these in my carry-on?
I think it'd be
awesome.
interesting. Like you could do a segment on the show, like streamers on stream or something like that, where if you guys are watching the show and you have a cool home lab studio setup, like email John and get him on, like show your stream off.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like
show
take a video and we can do a walk, like we can watch the video together and do an
watch
overview,
party.
Okay. Yeah, a watch party for your studio, for your behind the scenes studio. It's funny because people are like, no, I don't want to, show you pictures or whatever, because I don't want you to see my mess. And it's like, you don't understand. We all have a mess.
Yep.
It's the same. It's you see this and then you see this.
Yeah.
That's all you see. But like, can you see the desk? You know how clean, like it's not clean. It's not a clean setup right now.
I think it's a great way to learn, right? It's a great way to learn, right? Just like, how do you do this, right? And I think that when I was learning, it was all about like looking at people's setup, looking at people would post on some of the Facebook forums, like, here's the production desk for a church or a concert. And I would like zoom in and be like, what's that piece of hardware? And why do they have this? And this is the way you learn, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think that there is a interesting problem when it comes to this conversation, because people think like, oh, we don't have the budget for that, or oh, we don't have the vision for that, or like what you don't understand is we're all making it up. Like I don't have a blueprint. Like there's no, it's not official. You're gonna hear it here. Like we're all piecing it together, and we're trying something and watching it crash and burn, and then we're learning we're not gonna do that next time, or whatever. And so like a black background with a black shirt and a black hat, it's been a nightmare. But that's what I wear. And so you have to introduce a hair light and you got to have some color in the background, and then it kind of works. But I didn't do that on day one. Man, you should see the first streams. Actually, I don't even think they exist anymore because they've probably been deleted due to time. But they're in my office at home. That was those were the first streams, and it's evolved over time. So, and that's how it goes, is you don't get to the finish line at the start of the race. What was that?
I said, that's when I was joining the shows.
It's true.
It was in the, your place.
You guys are OG that way.
Back in the original days.
You guys are
good
OG.
Old days.
My daughter, I said this in conversation with my wife the other day. I said, oh, somebody something OG. My daughter is like, what does OG stand for? And I was like, she's 7. And I was like, it's original. It just means original.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's pretty much what it is. Okay, Jake. So we kind of interrupted or stopped you. Do you want to cover anything?
I do. I got one thing I want to mention.
Let's go.
So so earlier, we were switching the sources from the editor control, right? So the editor decides which stream is actually going through, right? However, we've given that control over to the end user. So if on my iPad and I go ahead and pull down from the top, up on the top, I have a full screen selection source where I can directly select what sources is going live.
Nice.
Or I can go back and select that mixed source and go back to that picture-in-picture view.
I mean, just think about what you can do with this. Like, I'm not a huge Premiere user. I don't have that kind of talent that Jake has, but like the ability to like post-process stuff this way is unbelievable. Big production companies that I've worked with in previous roles have spent tons and tons of money building remote production houses, or they fly people in and screen dailies, right? You're in for a daily and then you go home, right? When I was shooting commercials with Dell EMC, we would have to like fly into LA for the day, watch a bunch of dailies, do a bunch of editing, and like fly home. And I mean, this is just, I think it's unbelievable. I'm blown away by it.
Yeah, the workflow stuff. I mean, there's something to be said, and Jake is a perfect example of this, for example, of like, we can show it, but then explaining its use cases, and it's like there are lots of use cases, but then that's when your eyes get wide, because it's cool to like bring in streams directly and see that function. But then the conversation of, okay, but now we've got people in Melbourne, London, and Michigan, and they're all watching it on their Apple TVs, and they're watching the final production, and they're all talking together about, we're cutting this, we're doing this in real time. This is going to be put together for the post show for the game, or like
whatever it is.
Yeah, that's and everybody can be in their own place. No flights involved, no hotels, no restaurants, none of that. It's just cut all that out, and now we have this seamless workflow where we can hire the best of the best producers and the best of the best people that we can afford and put them all online, literally in the same not literally the same room, but
it's the same room, right?
The internet room. Yeah, we're putting them in the same production room.
It would be the same Cloud Connect room. Exactly. Yep. They're all in the same room that they can view and stream these things live in real time. And yeah, it's been incredibly advantageous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there's so much, there's like so many avenues and rabbit holes to go down. But I won't do that just yet. Let me cover off a couple of comments in the chat because they're getting ahead of us here. So Frank says, hey, I'm first-time viewer. Welcome, Frank. Always appreciate first-time viewers. Thanks for saying something. Hey, you have a super cool set. You're probably talking about Jake. Can we see a behind the scenes? You know what? You are now the second person to say, hey, we want another behind the scenes of the show. And so, yes, let's plan.
Yeah, we'll do that.
On Tuesday, I'm going to do behind the scenes of at least my set, and we'll get Jake on the show, or we'll get we can do.
I'll go live from my iPhone so we can walk around and check out all the things. You know,
we can see. We can't compete with Jake, John. I mean, this is ridiculous. Go live from my iPhone in his home studio. Come on now.
Hey, I could join as well from my iPhone, but I like the P4K over my iPhone camera. So. Welcome to the show, Frank. Always appreciate a new viewer, and hopefully jump over to birddogjohn.tv, which will take you to the support channels show. And if you don't mind, subscribe to that show, and that will help us make a case that we're moving in a positive direction over here at BirdDog Support, especially with this show. That's always helpful to have more viewers and more people over there, if you choose. Hey, I've asked the Ember team about an affiliate code, but currently no response. Do you want to rebuttal this, Josh?
I put another comment in the chat. I will neither confirm or deny the existence, real or imagined, of branded BirdDog Embers. I think that'd be a fun giveaway for the next show.
But that would be such a cool giveaway. So we'll
if only my BirdDog mug was an Ember.
Yeah, if only. Maybe one day. Maybe we need to get a conversation with Eamon and the Ember guys, marketing and.
Eamon's busy. He's having a baby. They're here in California. We'll take care of it.
He uses Ember mugs, though. It might be
I know.
in his. It might be in his interest to have that conversation. But so cool. I wonder if there's a way to embed a player. This is you, Josh. Into a web page, and then everyone will see the comments from all platforms.
Yeah. So it occurred to me today, right, that I usually watch a show on Facebook. We have the problems where you don't know who's talking on Facebook. But now that I'm in the show, I can see all the comments from all the streams or all the endpoints, and I realize how much of the conversation you miss out on.
Yeah.
Right.
So
the
key with the show, though, is as long as it's not overly colorful, I try and bring everything, which is part of the issue when the chat gets ahead of me.
Yeah.
I'm playing catch up for most of the show, which is why sometimes the shows go long, but sometimes they get ranting. But but I can bring them in, and I try to put most everyone's up here, stuff that is relevant to the conversation. So for the most part, you get 85-90% of the conversation that's happening because I do try and involve it. But when you have multiple people on the show and the chat's running, then yes, you do run the risk of missing some things. So that is a risk that we run. But there's a lot going on now. There may be a way to pipe the whole thing out into like Discord and be like, look, if you want to see the whole thing happening,
that would be cool, right?
Maybe you could do this. This is Fritz Goldman, by the way. This is a very well-known name. How are you, Fritz? Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for joining us over on Facebook. He says, hey, I thought you were using vMix, not StreamYard. I am going from vMix, outputting NDI into NDI webcam into StreamYard here so that I can utilize the benefits of StreamYard, bringing people into the show without vMix Caller. I have mixed feelings about that. Neither good nor bad, just mixed feelings. But I'm using all the benefits of switching out of the show for vMix. So vMix is coming out of one computer, going into another, and I'm using StreamYard to do all of the conversation chat, for example. StreamYard gives me that ability. So good times. Also, Fritz, yay on the converter firmware updates. I need it so badly for a huge show that I have going on in Miami. Well, that's pretty exciting.
That's cool. Is it Formula One? You think they're doing Formula One?
Let's continue in the chat and see if he said anything else. Dark Acid has there had been issues with Facebook API lately.
Yeah.
vMix Social is no longer working. Agreed.
Yeah.
Facebook kicked me out of multiple connections, and I've had to delete them as destinations because I was getting errors like crazy in StreamYard. So something's up. Yeah, something's up. I think we'll leave it at that. Petra, what is going on?
Hey,
Always
Petra.
a pleasure to have you around. What is happening? Good morning, good evening, and everything else in between. Petra's a bit of a legend, so if you don't know who she is, you need to check her out. Fritz said,
Petra, we
"Hey,
have some new Lego sets to talk about. So
ooh,
Lego sets.
We should chat about that. I can't wait for Fleet Manager. This is Fritz. I can't wait for Fleet Manager. I've got 40 plus cameras. It's so hard to keep track of them. You know what? That is one of those beautiful things that Fleet Manager is going to solve is large installations. As a matter of fact, it will make a great case for people to expand their BirdDog fleets because it just became, as far as I'm concerned, the easiest way to manage gear in the field in this realm, in the NDI realm. It is one of the premium products, and the fact that we're going to let you just download it for free is amazing. So, I'm super excited about that, Fritz. You're probably get your heartache will be no more with firmware updates, and you'll be able to keep track of those 40 cameras pretty easy. I know of your installation. I know how big it is. I've spoken to you in person about it, so it's very impressive, and I'm excited to have a resource to give you a resource like that from BirdDog to help you do that. So. Hey, as Eamon says, so as we move forward with the new cameras and the MICU updates with USBs, they're going to go away. We'll be able to do that all through Fleet Manager. Yes, that is the flagship idea. The P120, the P240, the X120, no more MICU updates via USB, and all of our new cameras, that is the plan forward. So a humongous round of applause for that concept becoming reality, because that has been a widely requested feature for a very long time. And Fleet Manager is that answer. So Jeremy is now following Josh over on LinkedIn, and I recommend that. Josh is a good guy to know.
On LinkedIn, I'm not as popular as I used to be. Let's just say that. I'm not as popular as you, John. And Jake's like a celebrity. No, you go to like NAB with Jake. People are like, Jake, so good to see you. You can't walk like 5 minutes without Jake getting stopped 3 times. It's you know.
He's the next Eamon Drew.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, I just came into this, but when will Fleet Manager be released? I need it. I want it. I'm
end of June. End of June. Yeah, it's getting worked on.
Yes. And Eamon has also said, "Hi Petra, Fleet Manager will ship before the end of June." There it is. Eamon, amazingly cool. Yes, it's so funny now that people are making connections in the chat as to like who's around. So Eamon is here, or was back at 11:30 a.m. I'm just catching up now.
He's still here.
And the RS422 issue on the P4K, that ticket has been submitted, so I'll keep an eye out for it. Hey, it seems like a party. What's going on, Senseless?
Hey.
Seems like it's a party in here today. This is my lead manager for the ticketing desk. Senseless is a good guy to have, and it is a bit of a party in here right now.
He hasn't been on stream in a while.
No, he hasn't, and partially to do with how busy I'm keeping him.
Yeah.
But we probably need to have him come back and hang out. He has a cool studio as well. He does streaming. So Senseless over on Twitch, if you want to see that guy's stuff, click on his handle and go over and follow him, because he's got some cool stuff up his sleeve, and he's got a really cool setup. He just redid like a whole section of his garage so that he could do streaming. So he's the next level above me.
That's amazing. We got to see that. How do we get him on the show?
Oh, easy. I mean, I can force him because I'm his boss.
Yeah,
so we'll have him come along.
We got to see that setup.
P100 still, he's working from home today, so that may actually be possible, but he may still be in his Jimmy Jam, so we'll have to make sure that he's presentable. P100 still has MICU updates. It's time for an upgrade to the P110. I mean, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
The idea is to move everything away from USB, but as the P110 120 has come out as kind of the next iteration, we'll have updates and whatever for all of our cameras. But yeah, the idea going forward is anything new that we produce, Fleet Manager is going to be the way forward, and quite frankly, that's a huge deal. So,
check out this comment from Hakan for us. I know I'm skipping ahead here, John, but he's got a question for Jake. He said, "When running of the timeline, will it perform the same as when I'm in preview, or is it pre-rendered? My AE takes some time to render for the preview." It came off of there. It is. Thanks.
Yep.
Ooh, I believe it comes off the render afterwards. I have a potential update very soon. We have a new BirdDog Cloud Transmitter plugin in addition to this extension module that's getting direct integration with Premiere. So we won't even have to use NDI tools or screen capture or anything at all, which makes it a lot simpler. So that should be coming off direct. So I'll have to triple confirm with the developers.
Cool.
And he asks later too, will the next version of comms work over cloud and the iPhone devices? That would be a cool feature. I don't think that's on the list, but that's a pretty cool idea.
So
BirdDog Comm app on the iPhone.
Yeah, that would be right.
It has been floated past, let's say, numerous times. That is not necessarily a new concept, but it's a matter of well, there's lots of factors involved, but yeah, making the comms channel a little more accessible to other things outside of just the BirdDog product, because then it becomes fairly like who doesn't have an Android or an iPhone, right? So
yeah, doing comms that way would be cool. You'd have to like multiplex it into an NDI stream out of the phone or something like that. Maybe with cloud. I don't know.
Maybe with cloud and Cloud Connect, because that's all SRT and WebRTC based, and we already have the back and forth direct connection through Cloud Connect. And cloud directly supports audio only streams as well. So there's definitely a good indication.
Yeah,
that could potentially work.
That's a cool idea. Marcus, oh no, different gentleman. Marcus asks, the P200 cannot sync to an NTP server. So what's used for timestamping? In a local network with no network access, do you iSepAC? How do you get details on Genlock? I told them to email you, Jake, but maybe you can comment on this one.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have to get some more details specifically, because the NDI protocol supports 2 different versions, time codes and time stamps. So it's really up to the manufacturer what it's using. Currently, our products are not syncing to the local NTP server. So essentially, the devices are free running from what we've been told. So, however, with NDI Genlock, we can essentially have all of the cameras that are subscribed to that main camera essentially wait to push their frames out until they see that the first camera or the master is pushing its frame. So that way, even though they are free running, they do have the same output or timing.
Yeah, it's funny because they're, the realms of cameras are the same, but there are different ways in which they do timing. And so the NDI protocol versus like the traditional Genlock stuff, they're actually 2 different conversations at this point. So it's hard to bring people who are seeing camera and camera as, oh, well, then obviously they do the same in terms of time code, time sync and all that stuff, but they don't. And so we've had to talk about that a fair bit, actually, especially when it first came out.
That's an interesting concept, actually.
Yeah. Well, we talked briefly about, syncing up to a time server or something like that, where you could do things universally across time zones, first of all, but then, like, especially with cloud. And the concept was not, how do you say, it seemed to have more traction than other, like, pipe dream ideas that we've floated out there. It's like, oh, you know what? Like, that actually might be a thing that we could talk about in real. Not to say that we're developing anything. I don't know anything that's happened after that conversation, but there are definitely different ways of doing it beyond the traditional method of time code. So yeah, there's all that sort of good
Sorry
stuff.
To jump ahead.
Oh, you're fine.
I just thought that was timely and interesting, and I was like, I want to ask that question too.
Yeah, no, and actually that works out better because some of the timely stuff needs to happen before I can catch up with the things that are back at like 11:30, which is where I'm currently at in the chat. So we can.
NetHub said we should do BirdDog cribs.
BirdDog cribs.
That would be cool.
We could. Well, I would say you could put a sticker on the crib, Eamon, and take a picture for us. But then again, babies are notorious for
no. I think
stand up
like
and then chew.
Cribs of studios.
Oh,
BD Cribs. You know Crib? You guys remember Cribs, the TV show?
MTV.
Yes.
Yeah, MTV. Maybe John wasn't super hip with it up in Michigan when that was on.
Well, I was in Toronto, and I wasn't permitted to watch MTV back in those days. So
did they have MTV in Toronto?
They did, but you had to pay for it, and certainly I did not get that sort of reception out in the country where I lived. So
okay, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all good. Petra says I have 2 4250s, one 240 for my BirdDog gear, and one 125 for my ATEM gear. Yeah, we need to do Petra, we need to get some photos at least of your rig, because I know I've heard a lot about your setup, but I've haven't done actually like a deep dive into it, so we should probably
get Petra on the show.
Seriously,
do a little network architecture. We could have a little fun with that, right?
Yeah. Let's keep going here.
There's a Facebook user that asked about talking about OG open frame functionality and how you would use it for a show. So this is an interesting one, right?
Yep.
You want to take this one, Jake?
So
Ricky.
I mean, essentially, so once all that NDI is streaming on the network, if we need to get that off baseband into any production switcher, that's where OG4 comes in, because we can put 10 cards in a 2U OGX frame, so we effectively can get 40 decode channels. And then also the vice versa is available. If we need to put that at the encode end, we can have those cards act as encoders and then get those baseband SDI signals to NDI and then flowing around your network wherever you need, connecting multiple baseband SDI signals into and out of NDI, going right into raw switchers with dashboard control. I mean, technically, those SDI outputs would work for Blackmagic production switchers as well. So they essentially don't need to be tied to a whole ROS OpenGear workflow. So we can do any combination of baseband in and out.
Yep. Yeah.
And then they're all powered in that 2U frame. And then, and a lot of these broadcasters already have an OpenGear frame that are using a bunch of D to A and A to D converters for other things. I mean, at least every single studio that I've gone into have at least 6 slots open, right? Because they get a 2U frame, but then they only need it for 2 different things.
Well, I've actually been told I've been told by installers here in the US at least, and large ones that will remain nameless, but they put a OGX frame in every install they do, regardless if they need it or not, because they're like, we will eventually
at some point. So they just spec it in.
They just spec it in. It's part of the standard install.
They do have 1 slot and 2 slot unit other manufacturers do make rack units for them. But at the end of the day, the single use ones or the single card slot ones are just as expensive as a 2U. So why go for
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you can go for a little 1 slot card and it works great. But if you're going to upgrade and scale and figure out what's next for the production studio, then that's where the big frame comes in.
Brayton's in the chat, or at least was.
What's up?
Hey,
good
morning.
Good to have Brayton on here.
They just want to talk to you, Jake. See, this is what I'm talking about. You're the celebrity here, right?
It's true, and that's what that's apparently the running consensus in the chat as I've been scanning it. So, good times.
Getting the word around. It's great. It's always fun talking to everybody. I mean, listen, NAB was such a good time. Josh, you and I were walking around, and there's NDI flowing all over the place, and there are a lot of ways to bring all of those into our ecosystem as well. So as if it's streaming NDI or SRT or whatever it is, like we have a way of using it in our BirdDog ecosystem.
Yep. Yeah. What was funny is all the guys came back from NAB and I was catching up meetings basically with them, because we're normally talking all the time. So I was having meetings with the sales team and they were all like hoarse. They couldn't talk. They're like, it was just 4 days of straight up talking. So
Yep.
Petra's,
I was shocked how busy it was. It was just so busy. Like I could not believe how busy everything was, right?
But here's the thing is that the BirdDog booth, if you walk around and look at other booths, people are like, it's busy, but BirdDog is usually like fire hose.
Like these are like in-depth conversations about specific workflows and, hey, I need to make sure that this gets through here, not essentially what everyone else is where, ooh, what's the new shiny thing that's on the stand today? Okay, great. Let me grab a pen and walk around. Right. Like here, it's like, wait a minute, what's this X120? What's Fleet Manager? How can we do this Adobe workflow? It's essentially all getting that baseband video in and out of networks.
But see, for me, it's like as even from the support side, people come and be like, here's what I want to do. And those conversations are the ones that it's like, oh, let's go. Like, let's start like dreaming and let's start like exercising our creative portions of our brain and not just talking like technical stuff. I had guys that in 2022 that came to the booth and they would say things like, we're about to light up a video podcast rentable studio and we want to run all BirdDog. So how do we do this? And I would sit down and talk, like we stood at my podcasting desk that I had for like 45 minutes and just talked about, all right, here's how you network this together. Here's how I'm running it at the booth. Here's how you do this on a large scale. And guys are like taking notes. They're like, this is exactly what we came here for.
You got to give stickers away. It's like, here's the diagram, here's the sticker.
Seriously,
like blueprint stickers or something like that, right?
Well, I didn't have the foresight. I didn't realize that those were the conversations I was going to be having, because the last time I was there, Eamon was doing all the work because it was 2019. I was green behind the ears. But in 2022, it was like, oh, now we're, people are hungry for this information and they're already excited. But when you tell them, and here's how the dream becomes reality, then they start like really going all in, which is really the excitement at NAB when you get a chance to talk to people that are at that level, especially because they just want to see the dream become a reality, and you're explaining to them how it is. And so that's always a super exciting part of it.
I thought the cool thing for me at NAB was like what NDI and what BirdDog was bringing was like, this sounds maybe cheesy. You guys will have to let me know on the stream, but it's about the democratization of video production, right? I think for a very long time, maybe up until the pandemic or a little bit before the pandemic, like you had to buy into these huge, expensive proprietary ecosystems. And so what BirdDog brought to the table with NDI was that there could be, you didn't have to buy in at those kinds of price points. You didn't have to invest in that kind of equipment to retrofit a building to run video everywhere. Right. And so if you had networking, which was, I think in a lot of buildings, you could just stand up some cameras. And so NAB to me was about like this realization around democratization of video. Once the video gets on the network, you have sort of unlimited flexibility. You can send it to the cloud. You can do the Adobe Premiere stuff. You can send it around the globe. You can bring it into a switcher. You don't have to buy these really, really expensive hardware devices. You can get an M1 Mac, a Windows box, run vMix, run your favorite software-based switcher, and you have all of this capability that was once sort of locked away on 5- and 6-figure installs.
Right.
So that's what I got really excited about. And you see people like, go ahead.
Well, it's basically the removal of the gatekeeper to like, oh, you want to do professional stuff? Well, now the conversation is totally viable.
Yeah. The Facebook user asks a quick poll on the best NAB announcement. There was a list on the.
That's not a Facebook user. That's Eamon.
Oh, is that Eamon? That's probably Eamon.
Yes,
he wants
it is.
to know. So, I think what was the best poll? I think the X120. I think the X120 went, it blew really people's minds. A sub $1,000 high-end camera that was battery powered or had the potential to be battery powered and wireless. And then, the 5-year warranty was like, oh, by the way, we have a 5-year warranty. Like, so for me, it was the X120.
No, X120 was really great. I mean, we had that set up at the booth. So like we were walking 15, 25 feet away, even with all the traffic going on, had the battery backup right on it, and just being able to walk around with a single access point on our booth. Super easily managed and easy to jump in and stream wherever we needed to. I think we were pulling it up on the new NDI PTZ control app. I had it locally on Studio Monitor on a different station. And even PTZ control. So even the PTZ control goes over Wi-Fi, because why wouldn't it? Because it's connected on the network.
It's saying something though, because the NAB floor is not quiet in the Wi-Fi realm.
It is not. There were so many access points and so much network floating around. But it handled it great.
There was a lot of stuff, right? I mean, there was the X120, the 5-year warranty. That was on the camera side. On the software side, I think you've talked a lot about Fleet Manager. The new BirdDog Cloud stuff got a lot of attention. I think the Adobe integration, Jake, you spent, I think, hours and hours showing people all the complexities and all the power around that. But the other two cool things were like the iPad app, the PTZ control and the iPad app. That was awesome, right? $15, you download an app, you get full control over all the cameras on the network on the iPad. I've already been using it in my productions, and it's just so handy to be able to walk around or set shots and lock off presets from an app. Versus having to sit in front of a laptop or something else. So that was a big one for me. And then, the displays that we had where you can pull in NDI feeds from, down to your Android TV. So you want to use it in like a crying room or a hallway or like a dynamic digital signage. And then the Apple TV app to be able to pull channels down and rooms down from BirdDog Cloud. I mean, just imagine, like, you want to set up a screening room, you just slap an Apple TV in there. So I think from the cameras to the converters and into the software ecosystem, there was a lot to go there. Yeah, Jeremy, you're right. The PTZ controller looks sweet. If you've not downloaded it, it is out. It is shipping. The V1 is out. We have a few features on the docket that I think would be great. But I think all the way through the product line and all the way through the ecosystem, the level of tools that you're being given is really incredible. I think Jake's playing with it right now. Is that what we're looking at? Jake's shelf of toys?
Yes, we are. All the guitar pedals.
Well, it's almost like it's a coming of maturity of the product, like of the protocol, right? Because this stuff comes out after it's been adopted and started to be used. And now it's like, now how can we make this way more convenient? And so these sort of inventions, these sort of design ideas is starts to relieve some of even the overhead that's involved in managing this, which is really low compared to the larger production scale, like the professional stuff that you were just talking about, Josh. The overhead is already really low, but now it's like, now those one-man bands, now it's all here on an iPad and you can just like sit here and do it. And that makes
it's amazing.
Makes it way more accessible beyond the fact that it was already, exponentially more accessible to begin with. And that's the fleet manager piece, right? Like making that available where it's like, oh, now I can do all my updates in one place with all these cameras. It's like, yep, that's the idea. Or you can get to you don't have to know the IP addresses of all of them. It will query it for you and you can hit the little gearbox and it will take you right to the web UI or whatever. So it's pretty crazy.
I think go ahead, John.
Well, I was just going to throw out here, Jeremy, it said HX3 over NDI over Wi-Fi. So I've heard varying things. I mean, it's possible, but I've also heard that it would maybe be a little better to use HX2. I'm happy to hear your thoughts on this because from a bandwidth standpoint, from a former Wi-Fi guy, that would seem natural to me to use the one that requires less bandwidth for the access point. But if you're the only thing going and it's just that camera and it's just that connection, then I could understand why Wi-Fi 3 at a variable bit rate might be an option.
I mean, look at like football games, right? Or like sporting events. You want to put cameras on tripods, remote end. You have a press box. You want to stream Wi-Fi directly to the press box. It's a closed network. You don't need more than 10 megabits a second, or 12 megabits a second. Even if you're asking for 40 or 50, you can get that over a good Wi-Fi link. So I think, to HX2, HX3, we'll see how people deploy it. It's a really interesting thing. On Facebook, they talk about the flexibility, thank you. I don't know who that was, John. Maybe you can give them a shout out. Talking about the flexibility is spot on. Fritz, thank you. Yeah, the flexibility is spot on. Hakan, again, with another good comment. We'd love to get a demo on how to get the BirdDog FreeDB working with Unreal. That would be a fun demo, Jake. I don't know how we would do that on a stream, but we should figure out. Maybe we could do like a VR cave. I could do VR here. You could produce it. I don't know. We have to figure out how to do it. But it does have 3D support. Yeah. Hakan, maybe give us some ideas. What would you actually like to see? You want to see like a virtual room, a cave of some kind? That would be a fun demo. See, these are great demos, John. The customers are producing your stream right here.
Pretty much, just set the schedule, guys. I'm happy to go down any. Now I can't say that I'm familiar with the all the 3D stuff because I don't have any of it, but I'm happy to acquire it and start playing with it. That would be great.
We could come up with something. Issue.
Yeah,
Jake
for sure.
and I could come up with
between
something.
the three of us, we could iron something out.
You just have to produce it, John.
No, that's fine. That's no big deal. I can always moderate a show. That's no issue.
What else are we covering in the chat here? I think we are.
Let me scroll. Yeah, I'm just trying to. Jake is the celebrity. Tom is the celebrity. Eamon doesn't want any of the attention. Jake is a wizard. He's being very very generous with his compliments today. So that's nice.
It's because it's late there and he's tired.
Josh, you should tell us about your initial impressions of NAB. This being your first one, some of us have been before, but give us 2 or 3 minutes of just your walking away from your first NAB experience. What was that like for you?
First of all, it's huge, right? I don't think you can appreciate how big a show is, right? It was the 100th anniversary, which also blew my mind. Jake and I were walking through the halls and we saw they had Jake, I'm sure you remember, I think we were walking to the North Hall, which was like a 15 or 20 minute walk.
Yep.
And the NAB nonprofit had these cameras there that were like from the 1950s, 1960s, so cool. These solid state cameras. It was like, it's amazing.
Cameras. It's great.
Right. They were just unbelievable. And And then I think for me, like, the first big takeaway was virtual set production. They want to do LED walls and they want to do these sorts of things with furniture. I think that's neat. I think it's one step up from like the virtual set production where like you sit in front of a green screen and you put like a background of something cool there. I don't know if, where that content plays, but the virtual set production was really big. Ross had a huge booth there that was doing that. So that was big. The third one was, and this was the funniest one for me and Jake, like I remember we walked by the Canon booth and I was like, why are these, they're booths and they're built out with scenes, like really bright, vibrant screens. And they have like a line of cameras and they hire actors to stand in these scenes and just sit there or act and like mouth to each other, like pretend acting. And then you can walk up with a camera and see what they look like. It was like the most bizarre mouse in a box. I've never seen anything like this at any other show. Like people just, there was one of the vendors had a booth where people were on like a first date. And so they were highlighting like the low light performance of their cameras, but they were just sitting there like staring at each other. And I was like, this is the most bizarre thing.
And then, Eamon, I think that maybe we've missed a market here that we should be hiring some actors to sit at the BirdDog booth and have cameras.
Eamon would hire you, John. Next time at NAB, you're going to come out. Your job is to sit. Your job is to sit in a scene on your iPhone and get us all your natural skin tones and show the real life performance.
That's if we want the cameras to break. We put John on the camera. We need somebody that's easier on the eyes.
That was so funny. And then the fifth one I think was really like, I'm calling it, you guys can make fun of me all you want, but it's the democratization of video, right? Even Black Magic was talking about going the new version of SMPTE and doing it over, it was 2110 or whatever the next thing is. And, getting video out of baseband and onto a network, even at the high end was a trend. And I think, BirdDog's been in this business a long time. So it was amazing to see that democratization or that IP enablement of video happening even at the high end. And then NDI was of course all over the place. So I that was my experience. And it was just so big. I mean, I've done reInvent for AWS. I've done Delhi MC World. I've done Supercomputing. I've done all these huge shows there, but
you were saying that those are just like racks of gear and not video. It's not video gear. It's not anything
not video
fun,
gear,
right?
Well, it's crazy, right? What did we see? They had if you guys watch NFL in the United States, right? They have the spider camera that like flies around the field. So they had one of those on display. They had cars mounted on trucks or cars. Just the equipment that came into that show just like baffled me. You go to Supercomputing, it's like a 19-inch rack, and every vendor's like, "Here's our new server. It's the new. There's something really cool in there. Like, here's the new box." You guys watch Silicon Valley?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to watch Silicon Valley in Michigan, John?
I think so. Yeah.
You weren't allowed to watch MTV. So
I can bootleg it.
You can bootleg.
Again, Canadian Toronto, not Michigan. Michigan's it's the Wild West out here.
It's the Wild West. I mean, it's just like Silicon Valley is like, this is the box. This is our new box. Yeah. But at NAB, man, you can put your hands on this gear. You can feel it. You can get connected with it. No pun intended. So I had a great time, and hopefully I'll make my way back next year.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is an eye opener, that's for sure. The first thing my friend told me about NAB when I first rolled up was, he said, just take a look around. There's very little spared expense at this show. And
there's that.
People are dropping to turn ahead, to get somebody to walk to their booth. That's what's going on. And there are two major companies. There are people that have their invention on the table, and the customer comes to them because they're interested in the invention. And then there are those who have the big flashy booth, but there's not a whole lot to talk about. And so they go to the booth because it's impressive, but it's super tall, or it's 2 stories or something ridiculous.
Whatever it is.
But it's like, what are you actually talking about, or what are you promoting here? And BirdDog, for the most part, I mean, last year for sure, and it sounds like this year too, it's like you don't have to necessarily do too much marketing to have a busy schedule for 4 days. Where it's just constant traffic all the time. Dan had even said, like, I met with him shortly after the show with my team, and he had just said there was never a time where there was not a conversation to be had. Like, if you wanted a break, you had to go and hide.
Yeah, that's right.
If you were on the floor and you were not talking to somebody, someone was headed your way.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a great place to be because people are interested and they want to talk and they want to hear more about it. So, so just a little little factoid here is Amos says there are 40,000 open gear frames already out in the wild. So there's a lot of open real estate for open gear cards. Agreed. And
new tech,
that transition from the baseband world over to the NDI world, that card.
That's going to be the gateway.
That's
the gateway for all the major productions and whatnot. Yeah. And it's not unrealistic for any other production to jump into those easily.
Yeah, so. It's super. I have one here in the shop because we test, open gear firmwares and whatever, but it's tied directly into a TC1, and the TC1 and the open gear get along really well. Really well. So it's fantastic.
Great to know.
Okay, the 5-year warranty blew Jeremy's mind. And I appreciate that because that is something that is not regularly offered by other manufacturers. Is basically an extended warranty that's included in anything that's purchased, in this case after March 1st. So yeah, we're really excited about that, and that took a lot of coordination across manufacturers and bird dogs and all of the people involved, and so we're excited to make that announcement. I'm glad that's that people are excited about that. I'm just scanning the end of the chat here just to make sure that
everybody went to work, it looks like, on the West Coast.
Yeah, it looks like people are busy. John and Jake, the two most handsome guys that we have. I don't know about that.
There you go.
I've got some folks here in the office that I've been keeping off camera because they won't go on camera. But, yeah, I guess that's not saying much about what he thinks of you, Josh. But anyways.
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
There you go. Awesome. Well, fellas, I really appreciate you joining the show today. This has been a blast to have a chance to chat with you and to see a little bit more about the Adobe stuff. And as that evolves, Jake,
that was awesome.
You're going to be ushered back onto the show, but maybe we should do more of these, especially between the three of us.
There's some more stuff coming out soon, so I want to talk about and make sure that comes across. A lot of major cloud updates that I got to get across to everybody, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, just like quickly, this whole Adobe Live and Cloud Connect stuff, it doesn't have to be a post-production workflow. We can do live production, live streams going right to our apps and right to the iPads. I think we had, even at the booth, we had a camera streaming from Laos and going right into the Apple TV Cloud Connect app, right? It was eating up all my bandwidth, but hey, it's fine. That's what it's there for. Right.
Well, on the floor of NAB, bandwidth is kind of you put quotations around that word every time you say it.
Well, we had a really good up and download speed. We just had a 4G single SIM router. As long as there was data on it, everything was fine. I think we were getting like 40 down and 20 up, which is more than enough to take care of everything.
Yeah,
that's unheard of.
For the whole booth, it was amazing. It was really amazing.
Wowzers. Well, that's awesome. Yes, we definitely need to talk about the cloud stuff when that rolls out a little bit more in the coming probably weeks or maybe a month or so.
Exactly.
So we'll get that on this.
We do another demo. Maybe I can produce and yell at Jake over the iPad app and be like, no, different transition.
Yeah, that'd be great. They'd be like, okay, let's show this actually being produced, and we can.
Well, yeah, Josh can remote into your vMix session and whatnot, and we can have the whole cloud cross compatibility between all of us. That'll be great.
Yeah, we can make this way more complicated than it needs to be.
That's let's do it.
Sure. So let's
do it, John.
Let's light it up. But I've officially kept you guys for more than an hour at this point with you guys on camera. But man, I super appreciate it, and it's been fun to have you guys to talk through things, and I'm sure the chat has enjoyed not having to listen to the low tones of me for an hour and 40 minutes, and so that has been really cool to have you guys on. And by all means, anytime you want to come back, please just let me know. I'm happy to have you on.
To it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, John.
Appreciate it. We will we'll wrap things up here. I'll let you guys go, and we'll go from there. Let me just pull this down here, and we will do this again, guys, on Tuesday of next week. This is, like I said, this has been a total blast, but on Tuesday and Thursday of next week, the plan is to do the show again. By all means, bring your NDI questions, bring your workflow ideas, bring all of that stuff to the show, and we can spend some time actually, hashing that out as we've done today. If the chat gets going, that's all great. We're able to cover as much of it as that we can, and I may need to probably hire a producer at some point and have them monitor the chat for me so we can talk about the questions that jump in. Josh did a great job of that today, by the way. So there may be now a part-time job that he was not planning on having that he may get elevated to. But I'm super excited about the announcements that we've made at NAB, and we've done several shows here in a row about those announcements. So we did X120. We've talked about Video Wall. Last time we talked about Fleet Manager. Today we're talking about the Adobe stuff. If there are things that you guys want to chat about, or specific products or workflow ideas or anything like that, send those over to help@birddog.tv and just say, hey, John was asking for show ideas. Here's a couple, or here's one that I had. They'll assign those tickets to me. I can write those things down, get those shows kind of lined up. Because essentially I want to be producing stuff that you guys are interested in talking and hearing about. So by all means, feel free to let me know what your ideas are. Throw them in the chat. I can write them down here live on the show. But by all means, we want to be able to be sure that we're producing things that you guys are interested in, and not just things that I'm interested in. And so that's always good to have more feedback on that sort of stuff. So next week, 11 to 12, at least for an hour. The show runs 60 minutes or more right here on this channel at birddogjohn.tv. So always happy to have people join us over there on YouTube. It's also streamed over on the BirdDog YouTube page. And so if you go to BirdDog TV on YouTube, you could subscribe to our channel there. A lot of our marketing materials, our user stories, all that sort of stuff gets put on that channel as well. Anything I do in support gets posted to birddogjohn.tv and then other places as well. So if you want to follow along with the content that I'm creating here for the support channel, boom, this is where I put all of that content. That's not necessarily marketing, but some of it is. And so feel free to join me over there. If you want to subscribe, that'd be great. You can even use the bell notification if you want to be notified via email or however you have your YouTube notification set up. Feel free to, use those tools at your disposal, and that way you don't have to worry about social media, running into us or setting a reminder on your calendar or something like that. You get updates when we go live, and we try to do a little bit like a 10-minute pre-show so that people can come into the chat and get ready for the show. So by all means, hit me up at birddogjohn.tv. Twice a week, we try and run this show at least for an hour. Today's a great example. It's been running for an hour and 40 minutes or more, and we've had some good stuff to talk about. A couple of other things that you need to be aware of. Of course, help@birddog.tv is the place to go. If you have tech support questions, post-sale, you want to talk to my technicians. I got 3 amazing ticketing agents that are really good at what they do, and they're basically specialists at this point. They can help you sort out whatever it is that's going on. And so help@birddog.tv. I need to point you in that direction. If you have technical questions that come up outside of this show, I'm not doing something live that day, you need an answer, send it over to them. We try and get back to it as quick as we can. We put in there that an auto response that we'll get back to you in a couple of days. It is rare that it takes us 48-hour business hours to get back to you, but it is to cover that Friday night to Monday morning gap. So feel free to send us a ticket. We promise we'll try and get back to you as quick as we can. Those guys are experts in what they do, and there's a team of people that work on those tickets, and so they don't go unanswered. You don't need an SLA to submit a ticket and to get a response, all right? You're important to us as a customer. I want to reiterate that. We really want you to reach out to us and feel like you're being heard and valued, and those guys at the desk do such an awesome job. As a matter of fact, a couple of my guys, Frink in particular, has been slightly under the weather, and he has all rights to take the days off to recover, and instead he's working from home. And so that's a level of, he doesn't want to contaminate the office, we'll say, with whatever it is. I think it's just the flu, but he's volunteered, hey, I can work from home and continue answering tickets and stuff. And those are the type of people that I have. They're committed to what they're doing, and they're committed to you as customers. And so don't forget to reach out to help if you have questions. And likewise, if you got ideas, you want to talk about the products, you haven't purchased them yet, but you want to get some grounding as to what is BirdDog, how do I get this going? Jake is one of the guys that are over at hello@birddog.tv. This is the pre-sales channel, and this is the global pre-sales team, okay? So we've got people in every single zone that help cover things off. And if you have pre-sales questions, if you want to talk about the product line, you need to know what you're getting into with NDI, the guys over at hello@BirdDog are a great resource, free to you. You don't need to, again, have some sort of platinum deal or whatever. Look, just email us. We'll try and get back to you as quick as we can. That's a different department, but I want to push them as well because it's a great group of resources for you to have at your disposal, especially if you're quoting at a job or something like that. So reach out to hello@birddog.tv for all your BirdDog pre-sales questions. Outside of that, I think that's it for me. I am honored that you guys have hung around long enough that you're still hanging out in the chat, which is unbelievable. I think actually this is Fritz. Fritz would enjoy the talk show style format of this show. He is in that realm in some ways, and so I appreciate that, Fritz. Thanks for the feedback, man. Always appreciated. Constructive or a compliment. That's always nice. So glad that you've enjoyed today's show. Really appreciate that. Hey, this is over on Twitch. People stumble on us on Twitch sometimes. I don't know what NDI is, but good to see you, John. Looking good. Travis from High. What? This is Travis? Dude, how are you? That's crazy. So crazy that you stumbled upon me over on Twitch. Man, it's good to hear from you. Hopefully you're doing well, Trav. Yeah, good times, good times. We should catch up soon, man. It's been a long time since I've run across you. Hey, what's going on, Tom? Ahoy. Hey, I'm sorry I missed your show. You definitely missed the show. Today was a good show. Rewatch it if you have some time. I had both Josh and Jake on the show, the Triple J show, apparently. John, Jake, and Josh. Yeah, there we go. We can brand that. We could brand that. We could do something with that. Yeah, Miro, all good. Good to see you, Trav. So great. What an awesome way to end the show. Yes, if you don't know what NDI is, it's a video transmission protocol. It's kind of a niche market, but it's growing quickly and rapidly and is becoming one of the broadcast standards out there. So I'm one of the support guys for one of the manufacturers for BirdDog. So that is what I do. And hey, it's great that you ran across me. So awesome. All right, everybody. That's it for me. I hope that you've enjoyed today's show. I certainly have. And, that's what matters in life is that I'm enjoying what I'm doing over here. No, I'm kidding. I hope you've enjoyed watching this show and hanging out with us today. Special shout out to Josh and to Jake for spending some time with me and talking through the Adobe announcement that we made at NAB and other announcements that we had as well. It's always super important that we cover off that stuff, but that people have a platform to ask questions and get real-time answers, and that's what I'm up to over here at the support show. So hopefully you have found that valuable. Really excited about the horizon for BirdDog, and yeah, there's cool things coming, and so hopefully you're excited with us, and come back next time, learn more about what it is that we're up to. Come hang out, and it would be an honor to have you guys hang out with us on the show. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Look after each other out there, and we will check in with you the next time around on Tuesday at 11 o'clock right here at birddogjohn.tv. Take care, guys.
That's a problem for future Homer. Man, I don't envy that guy.